Let's get to Al Sharptongue on Mamdani.
How do you bring these wealthy residents to the table as mayor? Stop them from saying they're leaving, going to Florida, because we need that tax revenue to pay for some of the things you're talking about.
And my vision is not one where they leave, it is one where they stay. It is
How
one
do you get them to stay?
In part by showing them that asking them to pay more in taxes would increase even their quality of life.
This guy is the dumbest person in the world, and this just tells you that some people in our country are the dumbest people in the world. The demise of America will come because of the white liberal. The white liberal through white guilt, by propping up these black leaders that are tearing up the black community. The white guilt of not standing up to this pro-Islamic regime that's trying to come into America and take over the country and turn this into a Sharia law state. They won't stand up it sounds good to say the millionaires and billionaires, any millionaires. I've been around people that got money, bro. They don't move like, these people have no idea what they're talking about. Listen to what Mamdani said, and you tell me if this is a good approach to securing billionaires in New York or not. Roll the clip.
You've been running on the platform of affordability fixes for New Yorkers, like a rent freeze you mentioned, free buses, city-owned groceries that made you popular with some working New Yorkers, but not so popular with real estate developers and the financial class. You were the only mayoral candidate to march alongside Martin Luther King III and I on our march on Wall Street about DEI on last week as we call for economic justice for all New Yorkers and all Americans. But right now, the top 1% earners in the city pay 40% of the city's income taxes, according to the Empire Center for Public Policy. How do you bring these wealthy residents to the table as mayor? Stop them from saying they're leaving, going to Florida, because we need that tax revenue to pay for some of the things you're talking about. How do you pay for it if they're gone?
Well, the first thing I have to say is I was proud to be the only candidate for mayor at that march. And I was proud because some of the chants at that march, they were asking, is the dream alive?
Right.
Is Dr. King's dream still alive? And he asked the question decades ago, what good is having the right to sit at a lunch counter if you can't afford to buy a hamburger?
Right.
That's a question that New Yorkers are still wrestling with today in 2025. And so what I have put forward is a vision to make the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable. At a time when we have the wealthiest city, it is also one where 1 in 4 are living in poverty. And to your point, we have a number of New Yorkers who are doing quite well. The top 1% of New York City earns $1 million or more a year. And my vision is not one where they leave, it is one where they stay. It is
How do you get them to stay?
In part by showing them that asking them to pay more in taxes would increase even their quality of life. Because when you ask New Yorkers, what is it that is making them feel uneasy in this city? You often hear from them about the cleanliness of our city, the safety of our city, the affordability of our city. We are not asking to raise these taxes for the sake of it. We're asking so that we can actually make the slowest buses in the country fast and free, so that we can actually create a Department of Community Safety that would deploy dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers to the top 100 stations of the highest levels of mental health crises and homelessness. That relationship proving that tax dollar leads to that investment, because we know that it's not just a fiscal policy that takes somebody from New York City to somewhere else. Because a lot of New Yorkers, if they leave, they go to California, another high tax state. They go to New Jersey, another high tax state. Many people say they might go to Florida, but I have seen and heard from many New Yorkers concern about this new elimination of vaccine mandates in Florida that makes them question whether they would ever want to live there.
Yeah.
Boy, people get tricked by these people all the time, man. Don't think you can't be the one getting tricked. This guy is saying he's going to convince people who have unlimited resources to give their money in an incredible way to the government who haven't done nothing yet so they can make the city better. Hey, what's the time period? All right, y'all, real quick, this video is brought to you by ShinergyLife.com, ShinergyLife.com. When you get on the Shinergy Life, it's your first order. Make sure you send your email or submit your email here. You get 15% off, and we don't give discounts on Shinergy, all right? So if you're looking for an energy drink that gives you clean, natural, sustainable energy without the crash, Shinergy Daytime is your solution. If you need good sleep and you're not getting good sleep at night and you're tired of taking these melatonin stacked supplements, worry no more. We have you covered. Our night drink It's primarily magnesium. We have only 1 milligram of melatonin just to get you right over the edge, but it helps you get great sleep. So complete energy with good day energy and also good sleep at night gives you complete Shinergy, all right? And if you're looking for a testosterone booster, there's the best on the market. You can compare it to any product on the market. And I guarantee you that it is the best quality and it's got the best supplements in the T-Force on the market, all right? So get your T-Force today, ShinergyLife.com, ShinergyLife.com. All right, let's get back to the program. You know, just y'all, I know most people that are on here have never been around billionaires and millionaires, and I don't claim to hang around them all the time, but I know a couple people that are super wealthy, and just being around them just make you think like these people, the average person think what he's saying makes sense. The reason that they've lost so many billionaires already is because of the higher taxes and them doing nothing with the tax money. And this guy's just another politician that's coming in and saying what he will and will do.
There's a question I want to read to you. This is from Caitlin Ma, who's a Columbia journalism student. In your plans to fund a new Department of Community Safety, you say you will transfer $605 million from existing programs into this new department. What would you cut from, is the question.
There would be no cuts to create this department. Right? This is a department that would have a budget of about $1 billion, 605 existing programs like Be Heard, for example. The other $400 million would be from new revenue. And so if you look at our policy proposal, we put forward over the course of the primary a belief that the two most productive ways in which to raise that revenue would be, one, by raising the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, and two, by raising New York City's personal income tax rate on the top 1% by 2%. Those two things together raise $9 billion. There are a number of approaches we could take in city government that would raise an additional $1 billion. That $10 billion covers the cost of our major policy programs and starts to Trump-proof this city.
Why is the government a better solution for a lack of grocery stores, food deserts, than just working with the private sector to have them do what they know how to do, which is run grocery stores? What's your answer to that?
There are more than 1,000 grocery stores in New York City. I'm proposing creating 5 additional ones, one in each borough of New York City that the city would run, and that would guarantee cheaper groceries, not free food, but cheaper groceries. And part of that is because food is a necessity for New Yorkers. It's a necessity for everyone. And yet it's something that people are being priced out of. And we can see the promise and the possibility of a public option. And we've seen in studies that have been done about the applicability of this in an urban setting like Chicago, that this is something we can actually deliver right here in New York City.
But there was another example in Kansas City where they had a government-run grocery store, and it's been there for years, but it's on the verge of closing because it doesn't work. They've been riddled with crime. They've dealt with just a lack of inventory. There are other examples where it just hasn't worked because, frankly, the government is not that good at being in the business of being in grocery stores.
This guy's just another politician that's coming in and saying what he will and will do. The last one said the same thing. Billionaires, people got money. They're not worried about it. They're not tricked by you saying something stupid like that. You're going to have to tell me how long it's going to take for the money to turn around. How long will it take to make the slowest buses the fastest buses? 30 years? How long is it going to take for you to clean the streets up if you guys are not going to hold people accountable when you take them to jail?
If city council legislation to abolish the NYPD gang database were to pass, would you support and sign that?
I have supported that proposal. It's one I've supported because of the vast dragnet has meant the inclusion of New Yorkers on the basis of whether they go out late, photos they put on social media, so much of the facts of life of being a young New Yorker. And yet it then becomes a mark of suspicion. And it is a concern of mine that we do not live up to, of all people, Eric Adams's words in 2021, who said that New Yorkers need not choose between safety and justice. Mm-hmm. There's no question that we have to take gangs extremely seriously. And yet I find that a database that includes New Yorkers on such bases is one that doesn't actually do exactly that.
Okay.
The jail population of Rikers has increased since Eric Adams has come into office by more than 1,000 additional incarcerated New Yorkers. And what is quite staggering to me is that we know that we can reduce that jail population to less than 4,000. I mean, Vital City had an article about a number of different proposals that could reduce it to 3,700. And some of this also just has to look at the average stay on Rikers in the 90s was 50 days. Now it's more than 100. There are more than 1,500 people on Rikers who have been held there for more than a year. So I do think many of the reforms that have to be made are also reforms around the court system.
What do you mean you're going to make it better? The rich people already live in better areas. Security, safety. Some of them live outside of New York proper. They work in New York. They got business in New York, but they live outside of New York. They got big mansions and live on the water. People helicopter in the places. These are the people that pay most of the taxes. 40% of all the taxes in New York come from these top 1% earners. Bruh, they just go to Florida and have a beautiful house. What are you saying? They don't need to stay there. And you're risking that. And I on my Instagram, on my X account, I promoted a solution. If you gave them an incentive, see, this is the thing. The government want to take your money and you're over with it. They want to take advantage of you without consent. That's why they want your money. Why can't you incentivize billionaires to say, instead of paying state tax in this way, we give you a deduction for philanthropic things that you do, where you invest into programs that help with the homeless. You invest into building jobs and opportunities in New York. If you have competitive salaries for your company, there's tax incentives. Like that will bring billionaires there. That will make billionaires want to stay. But you're saying we're just going to take 50% of your money and let's hope for the best. These people have been living in New York for like 20, 30 years, 40, 50 years. Some people have legacy wealth in New York. Y'all never did anything. You're not going to do anything different now. But what happened is that other countries or other states are having incentives for billionaires. You move here, you pay no taxes for 5 years. You move here, you pay no state tax. Florida is beautiful, minus the hurricanes. But when the hurricane season comes, they rich enough, they can rent somewhere else and come back home. It's people that are wealthy like this, they have the ability to have tax strategies, which they have a professional tell them, you got to live here this many times, this much of the year. You got to do this and do this to get around this tax code. You got to do this and this and this and put an LLC in Delaware and with a trust, and your trust do business with this. And they're not going to pay that stuff.